Shalom, Adi Anthony. Hello, I'm Anthony. Welcome to Sari. Thank you so much for joining us for our weekly broadcast on the coming of Adonai Yahushua HaMashiach. If I could take a minute to thank Yahuwah Elohim for the great wisdom and insight he has given us on his word to share with you. Hallel Yahuwah Torah Rabbah, for all that he has done, the abundance of everything. Truly amazing. I want to thank you all so much for your comments and for your support. If you are joining us here for the first time, please subscribe. There are also orientation videos in the beginning of this Edut to help you in your understanding of what an Edut is and how it is to operate. Recommend you go back and check those out. Last week, we looked at the curses showed how they played out when Yahushua came to fulfill all of those things in history, what's known as the Basura, the good news of the flesh. Now we will see how the Berachot, or the blessings, surveyed on the lines of this most important phenomenon in history, as it was written in the Torah. This section is set to something of a court proceeding. So Atimakanim, if you're ready, as Bonaki, let's jump right in. Devarim chapter 28, verse 1 will line up with Yochanan chapter 9, verse 16 through 18. Now it shall come to pass, if you diligently obey the voice of Yahuwah, your Elohim. So now here it comes to pass. If you diligently obey, this verse is broken down like this to point out and show who Yahuwah Elohim is referring to in this setting. The Edut is saying you. This is done to separate the chosen ones from the false prophets who have assumed the identity of the Hebrew people. The use of the word Shema is used 2 times here as diligently obey. Shemoah Teshema. The word Shema here, H8085, means to hear, listen, and obey. To listen and give heed. To hear with attention or interest concerning judicial cases. Diligently means to be conscious of duties. 2 Shemas are used here. Verse 16 reads, therefore some of the Parashi said, this man is not from Elohim. Parashi there, H6597, means to make distinct, to declare and distinguish in order to separate. They begin to distinguish something spoken from the voice of Elohim, and in doing so, separate themselves from the man in the verse who just did a miraculous sign, helping a man to see the light. And the Edut declares to observe carefully all his mitzvah, which I command you today. Et kal mitzvah tiwa. The mark of the accusative is here on the mitzvah. H4687 is a command of Elohim. It is used as a command of men and a code of wisdom. The verb sawah means to give orders or lay charge upon, so as to appoint or commission something. So this is used of a supernatural act, if you will. And because of the mark of the accusative that's used here in this verse, this mitzvah in the next line of survey is something weighty. So they declare because he does not keep the Shabbat. Now by all measure of everlasting life, keeping the Shabbat is just as important as seeing the light to keep it. because the mark of the accusative is on that mitzvah, that commandment. The survey is saying in this line of survey, the Shabbat has Chayim Olam associated with it. And this is the point of the Shabbat, to lay down in the very image of death, to rest, because Yahuwah Elohim is going to do something special for you on this day. He's going to open your eyes so that you can see him as he is. So he wants everybody to practice this, so you can get ready. That Yahuwah Elohim, your Elohim, will set you on high. Will set you on high. The word for high here is H5945. Elyon means high, upper, and exalted. Exalted above monarchs means to be superior, to raise up of a natural phenomenon. That's what's going on here. And he's going to do that for you in the upper survey line above there. Others said, how can a man who is a sinner do such signs? And there was a division among them. They said to the blind man again, what do you say about him because he opened your eyes? He said, he is a prophet, a Nabi. The others here in the other Parshi who are still questioning the blind man from last week, that's who's here. And according to the definition of Parshi, there is a division among them. And of course, human intellect kicks in and they ask him this question again. What do you say about him because he opened your eyes? They are reckoning with Yahushua, not calling his name. He said he is a Nabi, a prophet, a Ra'ah, or a seer, to go back to the history of the people. Here, he is set on high, just like the word said in the survey line. Others were there, and there was a division among them, but he was set on high, talking about Yahushua and what he was declared as a Nabi, a prophet. He was going to be set above all the nations of the earth. So Yahuwah here does some separating of his own. The word for nations is Goi, H1471. Used here is a nation of people, usually non-Hebrew people. It's in the definition there. But the Utah did not believe concerning him that he had been blind and received his sight until they called the parents of him who had received his sight. So as we look at this, but the Utah. So here Yahuwah is identifying who the Goi are from the line above. The Gentiles or nations. The Utah, or today's New King James Version called the Jews. It's right here in the verse. So they are in the lineup again, accused of yet another crime, caught in the act. And this is the word of Yahuwah that we're looking at. And this witness does not lie. Now, I know that might offend a lot of people because they are caught in the act. But it's not too late to repent and call on the name of Yahushua for forgiveness of sins and denounce rabbinic Judaism. Because as the survey line here shows, historically, they are those who did not believe concerning him. And this witness of the blind man, they think it's a hoax too. So now they call the parents in for questioning. So Devarim 28:2. We'll line up with Yochanan chapter 9, beginning at 19. And all these Barakot shall come upon you. All these Barakot shall come upon you. Baraka here, H1293, is prosperity. It is praise of Elohim, a gift or present, a treaty of peace. The verb H1288 means to cause to kneel and to be adored, to bless oneself. This is seen as being humble and blessing. From here, the verb form only applies in the verses. They shall come upon you because you kneel, and they're going to cause you to kneel and be respected. You know, this is favor that is going to flow back to Yahushua through the blind man and his parents, the remnant of the people at that time. They are seen here as you as well. They are part of this prophetic event, and it shall come upon you. And they asked them, saying, is this your Ben, who you say was born blind? How then does he now see? So it comes upon them by reaching their ears in the form of a question. And the word declares, and overtake you. Nasag. Nasag means to take hold upon and to handle. You know, when it comes upon you, take hold upon it and handle it. And so they do. And they answered, his parents answered and said to them, we know that this is our Ben, and that he was born blind. But by what means he now sees, we do not know. Or who opened his eyes, we do not know. So they took hold of it by repeating it. And the word declares, because you obeyed the voice of Yahuwah, your Elohim, Yahuwah Elohecha. This is spoken to oversee the prophecy, to tell us why they made the statement. It was to fulfill the survey line written in the Torah of this Yidut. Nasag means to take hold upon and to handle it. And that's what they did. So they handled it some more. So they declare, he is of age, ask him. He will speak for himself. So this is a prophetic event, a Torah teaching, and this is done here to show that they obeyed his voice. Devarim chapter 28, verse 3. We'll line up with Yochanan chapter 9, verses 22 and 23. Baruch shall you be in the city. The word for city, there is a place of walking, a guarded place of excitement, anguish, and terror. The verb means to be roused, excited, or aroused, incited to be stirred up. So his parents said these things because they feared the Utah. For the Utah had agreed already that if anyone confessed that he was Mashiach, he would be put out of the synagogue. He'd be put out of the synagogue. This was a place in the city. The insight of terror was obvious. If anyone misspoke, they will be dealt with. And if they confessed that he was Mashiach, this is terror in the walking, guarded place of the city. They were going to be put out of the synagogue. Baruch shall you be in the country. The word for country there is Sadeh, and it means field or land. In the concordance, it identifies in the definition, it is used of opposite or comparison, and it gives you land as opposed to sea, plain as opposed to mountain is in the definition. This is country as opposed to city. The word is from an unused root meaning to spread out. Therefore, his parents said, he is of age, ask him. The parents being opposite the children, therefore they are spread out to fulfill that verse for country. In both verses, they were caused to kneel, according to the definition for Baruch, H1288, the verb form, supplying all the way down on the seed and the lines. In this way, they blessed themselves. They were respected. They showed submission. Devarim chapter 28, verse 4, Yochanan chapter 9 will line up there with 24 and 25. So here I'm going to line up both verses to be surveyed. Baruch shall be the fruit of your body. So they again called the man who was blind. The word here for fruit is peri. H6529 is the fruit of offspring, progeny of the womb. It is used figuratively of actions, and the verb means to branch off. So we go from the parents to the offspring. Just like in the garden, the man is the fruit. This is also seen as the man called. This is the action part of the fruit, what was happening to the fruit. It is called. The word for body, H990, is beten. Beten is the body or the womb, the belly as the seat of mental faculties. It dictates hunger to the mind, seen here for the word blind, something occurring in the mind. You know, he was born blind. This is figuratively used as the depths of Sheol, from an unused root meaning to be hollow, empty, darkness all the time. It's what he experienced, no visual of anything, you know, the fruit of the body. The produce of your ground. And they said to him, give Elohim esteem. The word here for produce is again peri, H6529, as the fruit, produce of the ground, offspring, progeny of the womb, figuratively used of actions. The verb means to branch off. This is seen as the expectation of his response as the fruit. The expectation of his response as the fruit. This is the action, the reason why they called him, to produce an answer of your ground. Produce the produce of your ground here. The word there is Adamah. How is that playing out? The dust that surrounds your soul. From the dust you are, and from dust you shall return. H127, the first definition is used here as in general, tilled and yielding sustenance, talking about the ground here, tilled and yielding sustenance. Sustenance is the maintaining of someone or something in life or existence. This is seen in what they expected out of him when they said to him, give Elohim esteem. This is who gives and maintains life, sustenance. The verb for Adamah is Adam, H119. Much like the one in the beginning, but this one is different. This one is H119, sounds the same. It means to be red, to glare, to show redness. This is seen for the word give over in Yohanan. It is the blood that is red and glistening. Redness, it glares. It's found in the body made from the ground. Here in the survey lines, it speaks, yielding sustenance, a source of strength. So it is instructed in the verse to give esteem to Elohim. It's right there. This analogy goes back to the garden, where the blood, the voice of the blood cried out from the ground to Yahuwah Elohim. You know, just like overcoming the curse from the garden shown in the prior verses last week. Now the offspring come into play here, Cain and Habel. This word for red is used in Yeshayahu, chapter 1, verse 18. I'm going to read that now. You don't have to turn there. Just going to read it. I have it pulled up. It declares, "Now come and let us reason together." So it says, give esteem to Elohim, and the voice is crying out. And here in the salvation of Yahuwah, it declares, come now and let us reason together, says Yahuwah. Though your sins are like scarlet, they shall be as white as snow. Though they are red like crimson, talking about the blood, they shall be as wool. So this is a testimony now, and death is at stake. The increase of your herds. Now we know that this man is a sinner. So here we come to the courtroom. The word for increase here is peri, H6529, or the fruit from the ground here. The offspring, figuratively used of actions. It's the same as the other ones. The verb means to branch off. This is the we know in the witness. The increase is the knowledge, what they know. This is what they wanted him to produce when they told him to give esteem to Elohim. They wanted him to lie. They wanted him to lie. Notice how they led him on. We know that this man is a sinner. This is called baiting a witness. It's a fine line that they're walking here, and every false prophet does it, you know, to affect your witness. It's illegal. That is the increase here we looked at of your herds is the next line we're going to show here. Of your herds. This is a feminine noun, and the word there is behema. It means beast, meaning a collection of all animals, domestic, wild, and it's from an unused root, meaning to be mute. So a dumb beast is what they called him to be. A dumb beast, mute. Don't ask no questions. You know, to testify that the man here, who is Yahushua, is a sinner, and making him part of a collection of animals or a collection of sinners. You know, this is the word for herds, behema, that I'm showing you here now. Making him a collection of sinners here. He lumps them in there together. So, also in the dictionary, the word herd is used as a group of people or animals moving in the same direction. And since we're speaking of people, they're now hearing things. It's a hearing now. They are being baited. Your herds, religion is good with hearsay, baiting, trying to get you to lie to Elohim. It's right here. They're leading him on. The increase of your cattle, and the witness declares, he answered and said, whether he is a sinner, I do not know. Whether he is a sinner, I do not know. The word for increase here is a different word. The first 3 times, they were all peri. This one here is different. It's different. Different from what they wanted him to be. It is the word shager, H7698. This is a young offspring from an unused root, meaning to eject, to force, or throw something out. Say something. So this is an objection. And this is what he begins to say. He answered in the line of survey. It increased here, the increase of your cattle. He increases here. The word for cattle, the word there is Aleph, H504. This is a possession of cattle or oxen and farming. So this is something well kept. The verb is Aleph, H502. It means to learn or teach, to associate with. The Aleph and the Ta here. The Aleph is here. Aleph, this is the beginning of his learning. That is what is in his possession. The Aleph, this is seen in what he says in the answer. Whether he is a sinner or not, I do not know. He has not learned of any sin done by the man to associate the man accused. So this is reckoning here with Yahushua. They're talking about the man. They're not calling him by name. It's part of the prophecy here. And the offspring of your flocks. One thing I know, that though I was blind, now I see. So we're going to see how these 2 lines here survey now. The word there for offspring is still yet another word. It's different from the first 2. It is Ashtarah, H6251. This is an ewe young in the flock, increase. The verb, because of increase, means to become rich or wealthy. This is the one thing that the man knows in the survey line. The word for flocks there is sown, H6629. It means sheep. These are small cattle-like flocks of sheep and goats. It is used as a metaphor for a multitude. The verb means to migrate. So this is seen in the statement concerning the one thing he knows, that though I was blind, now I see. He migrated from blindness to sight. Show the survey on those lines there. Devarim 28:5. We'll line up with Yochanan chapter 9, verse 26. Baruch shall be your basket. Then they said to him again, what did he do to you? What did he do to you? The word for basket here is tanah. The root means to weave. So this is seen in the word what. What? What is an interrogative pronoun? It's asking for information specifying something, asking for repetition. of something not heard, or confirmation of something not understood. So they kept weaving in and out, trying to make a basket, something to catch him with. And he told them the same thing as before. you know. And your kneading bowl. How did he open your eyes? How did he open your eyes? The word for kneading bowl here is 4863, misheret. The verb is used in the sense of swelling, seen as how in the verse. From what to how, it swole up. That verb used is sha'ar, and it means to be left behind. How did he open your eyes? What he left behind was the fact that the man's eyes were open. They are Baruch and continue to kneel before the ruling authorities. Devarim 28:6. Baruch shall you be when you come in. The word for come there, H935, is bo. Bo means to come upon, to fall upon, to attack an enemy. So he answered them, I told you already, and you did not listen. Why do you want to hear it again? Why do you want to hear it again? So here comes irritation now. And Baruch shall you be when you go out. When you go out, the word there is yatsah, and it means to come or go forth with purpose for a result. For a result. So the survey on the line says, do you also want to become his taught ones? So things are getting testy now. Devarim 28:7 will line up with Yochanan, chapter 9, verse 28 through 30. Yahuwah will cause your enemies who rise against you to be defeated before your face. Then they reviled him and said, you are his taught ones, but we are Moshe's taught ones. Yahuwah will cause your enemies. The word there for enemies had the mark of the accusative on it. Et oyebecha, your enemies. These are people who oppose truth, revealed in the set apart speaking. Enemies. Yeah, they are Aleph Tah enemies. Kind of like people who prefer the Alpha and the Omega. Those are enemies to the mark of the accusative. They have their own mark. And they look to some other understanding to teach about the final rest and what people should follow. Seen here as Aleph Tah enemies at Oyebecha. The mark of the accusative is here on the enemies. They are using the scriptures, but have now made themselves enemies through those translations of their religious books. Who rise against you. This is seen when they reviled him in the verse. The word there is G3058. Ledoreo. It means to reproach, to rail at, to revile, to heap abuse upon. The verb is from a word meaning mischief, causing harm or trouble to someone. They come against you. This is seen in the two schools of thought found here in the verses. They come upon enemies who rise against you. I want to show how that surveys with these two schools of thought here that declares you are his taught ones and we are Moshe's taught ones. Now, I cleaned it up on Ms. Bayok, but when you go to Greek concordance there, you know, they just abuse the name of Moshe. It's barely recognizable. I don't know who they were who those people were talking about. So they come against you with Moshe. That's what they do. And the Jews do that to this very day. You know, refusing to recognize Yahushua, even in the overwhelming evidence here in our time. You know, notice they are following the teaching and still missing the point. The word has come to life and they still can't even see it. Yahuwah causes this. It's written right there. So the statement of separation they make is seen as defeat. Is seen as defeat. They are defeated before your face. And they make it according to the word, right before the face of the one who was blind and is now following Yahushua. According to them, following his teaching, being his taught ones, Lamudim. And that's the problem with most people. They following the wrong teaching. You know, they're in the right book, but they're following the wrong teaching. They shall come out against you one way. We know that Elohim spoke to Moshe. As for this fellow, we do not know where he is from. That's the only thing they got, and they still using it. They come out against you one way. The word for come out is yatzah, H33:18. It means to come or go forth with purpose for result. So this is seen when they said what they know. We know that Elohim spoke to Moshe. You know, that's what they know. As for this fellow, we do not know where he is from. You know, this is seen as one way because of the word from here in the verse. The word from. I'm going to look at that now. In Yochanan, the word is G41:59. Poten. It is used of origin or source. From what author or giver. The verb associates with G4095 and it is figuratively used, meaning to receive into the soul. What serves to refresh and strengthen the soul, to nourish it into Chayim Olam, or life everlasting. This is what Yahushua came to do, nourish the soul and strengthen it for Chayim Olam. You know, apparently they were only looking one way. That was through the Torah. Problem is, they forgot what Torah meant. It is a prophetic book. It had to be fulfilled, which was happening right before their eyes. You know, no pun intended. They missed it. And they're going to flee before you 7 ways. So the man answered and said to them, why, this is a marvelous thing, that you do not know where he is from, yet he's opened my eyes. The word there for flee means to put to flight, to cause to disappear and hide. This is seen when he answered and said, this is a marvelous thing. The word there was damastos, G2298. And it means passing human comprehension. It went right over their head. They missed it. The verb means to wonder with great wonder, exceedingly. Another verb associates with important persons that are looked on with admiration. What Yahushua did was truly marvelous. It fled their understanding. 7 ways there, Sheba, the Hebrew word for 7, means to swear of Yahuwah by himself. He's doing this. It is used here to represent the word from. Poten, G4159. The origin or source. From what author or giver. The verb associates with G4095, and it is figuratively used, meaning to receive into the soul. What serves to refresh and strengthen, to nourish it, to Chayim Olam. This identifies the source that was in the question. The word for ways there is derech, H1870, and it means roadway or path. The verb means to tread down. To tread down. And this is seen in the verse as it reads, "Yet he has opened my eyes." He tread down the fact that trusting in the teaching of the parashah could accomplish such a thing. Maybe they could learn a lesson here. Devarim 28, verse 8. We'll line up with Yochanan, chapter 9, verse 31. Yahuwah will command the Barakah on you in your storehouses. So here the man continues to speak. The blind man, he says, "Now we know that Elohim does not hear sinners." We know that Elohim does not hear sinners. Now this Barakah here, the mark has the mark of the accusative on it. It's on the Barakah. So his exhortation here has everlasting life associated with it. The Barakah here, H1293, that it is the same as the first one at the beginning of the exhortation. Here, it shows up again. This word is H1293. It means treaty of peace. It means praise of Elohim, a gift. This is seen in the knowledge of Elohim in the verse. Now we know Elohim. This is knowledge. The verb Barakah, the one that we were using the whole time here, means to kneel. This is seen as Elohim does not hear. They have bowed themselves to this understanding about him. The sinners are seen as the storehouses. Okay, the sinners are seen here as the storehouses. H618, Assam, means storehouse or barn. It is from an unused root meaning to heap together. A storehouse. And in parentheses it says only in the plural. How about that? Sinners is in the line of survey right here for that survey. Heaped together. He does not hear them. This is a warning against sinners. Probably why the parashah could not perform or even understand the miracle that was done in the man who was blind. This is insinuating, maybe they're doing something wrong. And over in Devarim, it declares, in all which you set your hand. And Yochanan, he continues speaking, but if anyone is a worshiper of Elohim. The word for set there is mishloach. Mishloach, H49:16. It means outstretching and undertaking. That to which one stretches out the hand. Letting loose or turning loose your hand. This is seen as worship. The lifting of the hands of a worshiper. This is done if anyone is a worshiper of Elohim. The work of the hand is seen as well. It is found in the spelling. In the spelling, which you set your hand to do here. Spelling of who you are worshiping, seen here as Elohim. The mark of the accusative is on the Bereka in these survey lines. The Aleph and the Ta, the first and the last Ibrit letters, and every one of those letters found in between, used to spell Elohim, the one who created those letters in the beginning. You know, that's what goes here in this verse, instead of what was in the New King James Version of the Bible. He will break you in the land and does his will, which Yahuwah, your Elohim, is giving you. And he said he hears him. So this begins to light a fire under the Parashi, because the man is implying the Parashi are not getting this type of breakthrough because they are sinning. And Yahushua is then implied as him in the verse here. So, yeah, they're starting not to like his tone. Starting not to like his tone. Devarim chapter 28, verse 9. We'll line up with Yochanan chapter 9, verse 32 and 34. Yahuwah will establish you as a kadosh people to himself. Kadosh, set apart for a special observance for all the nations to worship him as creator. Since the world began, it has been unheard of that anyone opened the eyes of one who was born blind. Just as he has sworn to you, if you keep the mitzvah of Yahuwah, your Elohim, and walk in his ways. The mark of the accusative is on the mitzvah. So these are some highly sensitive and classified instructions that apparently the Parashi was missing out on. They didn't have it. If this man were not from Elohim, he could do nothing. In other words, if this man did not keep the mitzvah of Yahuwah Elohim, he could not walk in his ways. And that was the end of that prophetic teaching. To which they replied and answered and said to him, you were completely born in sins, and you are teaching us? And they cast him out. They cast him out. So they got mad and kicked him out. And if you go up in there with the truth, they're going to get mad and kick you out too. Well, I guess he told them. And that's pretty self-explanatory right there. And even till this day, has not been done like this in word or in deed, that one would open the eyes of the blind. These are certainly the days of Lot that we live in, and spiritual blindness is at an all-time high. And blindness covers all the world of religion, politics, and the many millions of people who follow it. Unfortunately, they have not been called, and they will certainly not hear the message during the days of vengeance. Nevertheless, warn the people. Share this message with your friends. Keep yourselves from idols. If you have not already, please subscribe. Stay connected. That's all for now. The Hitra Oat. See you later. Shabbat Shalom.